My name is Jonny Duddle, and I'm a concept artist and children's book writer and illustrator. Yeah, I've always loved books, so I've always wanted to be a children's book writer and illustrator. Well, illustrator, started off drawing, but to earn money, to earn a living, I ended up in games, working as a concept artist in games. So and that kind of progressed. I worked for Aardman on Aardman's Pirates as the character designer, and then my books took off more, so I do more with my books now than concept art. Whereas earlier on, the concept art and things almost supported my passion, if you like, which is books. Yeah, although I like movies and animation as well. You know, like I remember when I was probably about 7 or 8, or quite young, going on holiday with my parents and watching a program about Brian Froud designing the characters for the Dark Crystal, and he was on a Northern England TV program talking about his designs for Dark Crystal, and then I was like, I'd love to do that. That's what I want to do. And it's more about making worlds, more about creating worlds, and my books are about creating worlds and creating believable stories. And it's the same when you do the concept art and doing stuff for movies as well. But the difference with the books is you do the whole thing yourself. Obviously, you've got a supporting team with editors and designers, but when you're in a movie, you're always in a big team. So it's nice to have the things that are just my own projects, and then also work on things that are big, huge team. Kind of what I do now is what I did when I was 7 or 8. I'd sit at home and I sit at my desk and I write stories and draw pictures, and that's kind of it. And even the concept art I've done has been pretty much that. A lot of character design I've done for games and film has been generally quite quick, so it's just sketching and drawing and colouring it in a bit. And it's kind of, there's not some great complicated project going in the bit I do. It becomes a great big complicated project, but being right at the start, drawing a character or designing, a bunch of characters is kind of pretty much what kids do. When I sit at home colouring in with my children, they're doing kind of my job as well. What should we draw? We draw some pirates, and what they're thinking, I'm thinking the same. It's like, what should we put a hat on him? Let's try a sword. Let's try this. It's all the same. So it kind of helps to not take it all too seriously, and just have fun with it. Really, I think if you have fun doing the drawings, not that I always have fun. When a deadline's looming, it becomes less fun. But you've got to kind of keep the fun in the drawing if you want children to respond to it, whether it's in an animation or in a book. That's a tricky thing with book. I mean, it's probably the same with movies. You take a child or a TV series is different. Children choose which TV series they watch. One of my books two of my books will be made into TV series in France, and one which will be kind of within Europe, and one which I think will be sort of wider. And the kids choose that, but with books, the parents often choose the book, or the grandparents, and so that's quite tricky actually, especially when firstly you have the people who buy the books for the bookshops choose what they put on display and what they like, and then the parents are often buying the books. So the children don't always get to choose. They do if they're going to a bookshop with their parents, let's have this, and the same with movies. I think you have to decide to go and see a movie with your children. Like I know my children say, let's go and see this movie that they've seen on telly, and I go, I don't really want to go and see that. We'll get that on DVD. Because I do book festivals and I go to schools with my books and read books to the children. And I often say that to them, but you never have your best idea sat at your desk. So phones are great. Nowadays having a mobile, an iPhone or whatever, to be able to type something in or talk into it. So normally most of my books have been written on walks, like, walking up a mountain or walking around. I take the dog walk at lunchtime. And whatever I've been working on that morning is kind of often resolved on the walk, not while I'm at my desk. I sort of think, what problems, what's been going wrong, get back and fix it. And the same with the ideas for the stories. Books take a long time, so I've not done that many books yet. I've got 8 books, but almost all of them have been thought up, or even whole parts of them written on walks and sitting on trains and sitting in airports. Not necessarily right at my desk is where the important stuff's done somewhere else, I think drawing and paintings, I don't know, some people might find it easy, but I find it really hard. And I think there's quite a lot of people who don't draw and paint think that anyone who does it as a job must find it really easy. Everything comes out quite naturally and easily. And sometimes it does, but often it doesn't. And especially on a long project like a book, one of my picture books has 20 large illustrations, and if each one takes me 4 or 5 days, that's like months of work. And there's often, I'm really stuck on finishing a book at the moment, and there's a lot of problems, to solve in that. And the one nice thing about having a book is you've got a whole load of illustrations. So maybe if you're really getting bogged down with something, you can go back to something else. I was doing I did Harry Potter covers for the UK, and I was so excited about drawing the dragon on Goblet of Fire because they said they wanted the dragon, And I was just so excited. The first 3 books I did them, and I got to the 4th one with the dragon on, and it was an absolute nightmare. It took me way longer than anything else. I ended up leaving it and going through and doing the later ones first and coming back to it. So yeah, there's a lot of problem solving, I think, in painting generally. I think sometimes you can kind of almost feel like you're banging your head against the wall with, you know, sort of a particular illustration. Like you just can't get, on a particular day, you can't get an illustration, or maybe you just need some more reference. You need to go away and. Most of my children's books are quite stylized, so I use reference. I photograph myself eating a piece of toast or holding a glass or holding a sword or whatever, but say with the Harry Potter, we're more realistic, not realistic, but more realistic. I took quite a lot of photo reference, and if I got bogged down with just getting a hand right or getting, you know, for the painting, I'd take photos of my wife holding a sword or get her to put a cape on and do some. I had my neighbour's son and my daughter stood behind him wafting a Harry Potter cape I bought on Amazon, you know, sort of. So I used quite a lot of reference to fix when I was having problems drawing it from my head. I would often use reference or just go away and draw something else, do a different cover. Children have got pretty vivid imaginations, and you've got to get them excited, and you've got to get them, you know, whether it's books or film or TV or whatever. You've got to sort of, you've got to excite them and inspire them a bit, otherwise they'll switch off. So my illustrations in my books are pretty detailed and have quite a lot going on in them, which especially if the picture books, when parents are reading to them, it's quite good because the children have a lot to look at. They don't have to wait for the parent to finish reading. They're looking all around the scene, especially a couple of them have kind of twists in the story. So there's clues within the illustrations, so it's quite nice. The children often spot those twists before the parents do because they spend so much time looking at the pictures. And that's kind of goes back to what I liked as a child. I liked detailed illustrations. I liked hidden stories within the illustrations. I've done a series of pirate books, and it's about a pirate family moving to an ordinary street, and the youngest daughter, Nugget, is very much like my youngest daughter. She's slightly mad, slightly dangerous, breaks things, injures herself, and so I kind of like her just because she reminds me, especially as my youngest daughter's now getting older and is less of that character, but that character stays. Once you've got a book and a series of books, the characters stay that age. They don't tend to grow up. So my daughter's growing up and is different, but that character reminds me of her when she was sort of 3 or 4. Well, yeah, there was the family in the Pirates book kind of does resemble my family a little. So when we first moved it was about this pirate family moving into a town. So when we first moved, we moved house, and I did a talk to the Women's Institute and tried to describe my book, which is about the neighbours gossiping about the family, and they looked like they were kind of thinking, is this a sort of autobiographical? Is this about us and about this village? But it wasn't. When I feel confident of what I'm doing, so sometimes you have periods where you don't feel quite so confident. You think, actually, am I passing on the right information? You know, but generally, yeah, I think, you know, there's always something to learn. And I think when I finished university, I did a illustration degree, and there was no internet when I finished university. It didn't exist, you know, well, it existed, but not to the public. And it was so hard to find anything out, you know, to find anything about anyone's techniques, anyone's sort of process was kind of almost impossible without actually knowing an artist or knowing someone. And when I lived quite remotely, didn't know an artist. My dad sold beer, my mum was a nurse, you know, I didn't know anyone who was an artist. So learning a lot, trying to find that out, and you know, was pretty tricky. Whereas now I think there's so much information online, so much access to sort of, you know, go on YouTube and watch whole videos of people doing whole paintings. It's amazing and great. And I do it. I still do it. I buy loads of books on how to do this and how to do that. Not necessarily because I don't know, but if you read through someone's process, there might be one thing which speeds up your process, one tiny sort of like, oh, they do that, and you know, a particular blend mode in Photoshop does something, and it's, you know, it's all useful information. The very best thing actually is seeing children with the books, and you know, I love the drawing and painting. I love writing them, and I have periods when you get towards deadlines where it's less enjoyable. But the best thing is when I first started doing the books. You go to a book event and no one will know who you were. Now when I go, there's children come with 3 of my books, all really battered, and they've read them, and their parents say, "Oh God, I've had to read it so many times," and it's just great. You know, the children are so excited. They're dressed as pirates, and they're just super excited. And I kind of, when I go home from one of those, I feel like a little bit more inspired to sort of get something down, you know, and get a book out. So I've done 4 picture books, The first one was about pirates, but kind of unrelated. Then I had another one about pirates, just because some of the bookstores in the UK said the first one had sold well, they wanted more pirate. Could I do another pirate one? And that one kind of spawned a bit of a series. I've done older chapter books, and they're called the Pirates Next Door or the Jolly Rogers, and that's actually been optioned by is being made at the moment by a French animation company it's going to be on French TV.